Hello, my name is Fong and welcome to my oral presentation, MA Photography, Falmouth University. The MA Photography course that I am currently in has helped me to understand and improve myself through communicating with my peers, video conferences, and the valuable input from tutors. I'll be covering my current practice and portfolio, my motivations and objectives, and finally, my research project. This was my very first shot of a bougainvillea flower way back in 2010. My first successful shot of my son and his friends having a wonderful time at the Hard Rock Hotel. Walking around the location, this caught my eye, and I just snapped away. In my room, there's these 3 bright lamps that I found interesting. The morning sun and shadows casted such a beautiful scene, and it was this shot that started my fascination and obsession into landscapes and architecture photography. The way I shoot my subjects is I take as many shots as possible and then select the best later. These shots of textures, the pyramid, zigzag, and spotting seem to be categorized as fine art, which I only knew the type of photographic genre much later. My current practice. Here, I would like to share some of my shots, which in a way I gave, pushed, and challenged myself to a project on every other weekends. A project that involves the relationship and the technicals of photography. Here's 10 of mine through my personal projects. Depth of field. Creative framing. Patterns. Light and shadow. Colors. Black and white. Textures. Details. High-speed shooting and long exposure. My objectives and motivations. For being critical at the technical aspects of photography, I'm now using the Sony mirrorless camera and Trinity lenses. To maximize my camera's output quality, I always shoot in RAW and then edit them in Lightroom and Photoshop. Appreciating and applying the art of photography gives me great understanding and knowledge through the study from historical to contemporary trends. As I'm critical and fussy about my photography shots, I now develop the habit of looking more closely at the visible world, taking as many shots as needed, only to choose the best at the end. Post-processing is usually done to shots that I felt it needed that little touch-up, just to make it pop. my research project. Here's some great examples of fine art photography in architecture. What's fine art photography then? Lucy Sauter, writer of Why Art Photography, wrote, "Contemporary art photography is paradoxical. Anyone can look at it and form an opinion about what they see. Yet, it usually represents aesthetic and theoretical positions that only a small minority of well-informed viewers can assess." Another quote follows, "In fine art photography, subjects from the most exalted to the most banal are transformed into pictures via the special properties of the photographic medium. This mode usually privileges the sensibility of the individual photographer, his or her own unique vision." What then is fine art? My investigation has led me to these through my research. Conceptualism is a study of concepts on how time affects a shot and traces human leave behind. It's the moment, like it was there, but now it's gone. Featured here are two famous photographers, Sarah Pickering, who always has interests in fakes, tests, sci-fi, explosions, and gunfire, all to do with time. And then there's Joel Perez, showing on one hand a notorious person, but then a different personality when in a suit. Installation. I've included Andy Goldsworthy and Noemi Gaudel as examples. The question if graffiti itself is an art or vandalism. The word "land out" is putting structures in a landscape and then taking the shot. That's Andy's way of expressing and photographing sculptures in an environment that he has manipulated. Noemi's photographic visions are centered around film, installations, and interventions, where a shot of a road leading out from the barn was photographed, printed, hung, and visualized. Abstractism. Abstractism involves the form, color, lines, and curves of art. Shown here are two of my favorites, Jackson Pollock and Wassily Kandinsky. Symbolism, the expression of emotions, having mystical ideas and the state of the mind. The use of allegory and eccentric subjects, such as puppetry, skeletons in his visuals. They are James Ensor and Edvard Munch. Science and semiotics. It enters on how meanings are created and communicated with science. Featuring here are Joseph Kossoff and Gillian Waring. Based on these objectives, my research project still leads me to what I would love to venture from the very beginning: fine art photography. In the commercial sector, I would like to pursue into either putting a personal or collective efforts towards exhibiting the works in progress. Socially, I have already auctioned several of my photographs towards a hospital's heart fund, which I will still be continuing. Personally, I would like to further develop and encourage photography by bringing together people of similar ideology for a common cause of promoting photography as an art form. Thank you.